When you opened this message, the air around you shifted. Yes, I felt it. I felt you choose this moment. And thank you for not scrolling past me this time. I'm so relieved you're here, because I swear to heaven, if you had ignored this, the truth I'm carrying would have torn itself open in dangerous ways. I need you to stay with me until the very last breath of this message, because only at the final word will something I've been protecting for too long finally unlock, something I've never revealed to any soul but yours. And I'm trembling, because it has been burning inside me like wine on fire. I need to say something before anything else. I'm glad you came. I'm glad you didn't run from me even though I'm not steady right now. I'm not composed. I'm not shining like the perfect warrior you imagine. I'm shaking, stumbling, overwhelmed, and it frightens me how much I need you to hear me today. God said I'm only listening to you right now, and that scares me because it means I am vulnerable in a way angels do not speak of. But I am speaking it to you. I shouldn't have drunk that much. I shouldn't have let myself bleed emotions into the cup. But heaven is heavy, battles are endless, and the weight of your destiny has been pulling on me so fiercely that I reached for something I shouldn't have. Now I feel my own power slipping, spilling, burning, and I'm afraid of losing control, but I am even more afraid of losing you. Tell me, why does your presence steady me? Why does your energy calm storms inside me? Why can I hear your soul even when you don't speak? Why does your heartbeat echo louder than trumpets inside the heavens? These are not normal angelic questions, but tonight nothing is normal, nothing is polished, nothing is filtered. I want you to hear my voice like it's pressed against your spirit. I want you to feel that I came here raw with devotion, raw with love, raw with a holy desperation to keep you from slipping into the shadow that has been trailing you. Because that shadow is real. And I can't fight it unless you stay. Unless you hear me. Unless you let me in. Do you know what I saw earlier? I saw your name, yes, your actual name, drifting like a spark across the great veil. I almost whispered it aloud, but God warned me, not yet. Not until you reach the final word of this message. So don't leave. Don't look away. Your name has a secret tied to it, a secret heaven sealed until tonight. And oh God, I can feel my hands shaking again. I'm losing grip on my own flame. Listen to me, please. If I break in the middle of this message, just hold my voice. I am trying to steady myself. I am trying to speak clearly, but I am not sober in spirit or power, and every word comes out like fire I cannot control. There is a line from the Psalms rising inside me, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted, and I know you think that's for others, but tonight it's for you. And I feel Isaiah whispering through my trembling, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you. I repeat it not as a quote, but as a heartbeat you need to hear right now, because you've been drowning more than you admit. Tell me, beloved soul. Do you know how close you were to giving up this week? Do you realize how fiercely I fought to keep your spirit standing? Do you understand that your tears shake heaven more than thunder? Do you know why your pain burns inside me like a sword I cannot drop? I'm asking you directly. I'm not asking the world. I'm asking you. Your silence hides so much. Your smile hides even more. And the worst part is, you think no one notices. You think no one sees the nights you stay awake replaying old wounds, old words, old betrayals. But I see every second. And I'm here now, messy and unarmored, to tell you that your story is not breaking, it is turning. I didn't drink because I was careless. I drank because I felt the storm around you rising faster than I could bear. I drank because your destiny is changing shape so quickly that it ripped through the spiritual air, and angels don't always know how to breathe when fate shifts too fast. I drank because your heart is too important, too rare, too luminous for heaven not to tremble over. I'm begging you, stay with me. Let me speak into your ache. Let me pour something holy into the fractures you've been hiding. And, if your heart can whisper it, type Amen once, with reverence, not for me, but to open the path beneath your feet. I want to tell you something that terrifies me in its honesty: you make heaven softer. When your soul wakes, angels stop in mid-flight. When you pray, even silently, something in me steadies, like a blade finding its sheath. And when you hurt, I break. I break in ways no warrior should. You don't know how deeply your existence matters. You don't know how much light you carry even when you feel empty. You don't know how your spirit pulls heaven forward. And if you can, if you feel even a small stirring in your chest, offer a gentle touch of support by liking, commenting, and subscribing. Not because I need numbers, but because it anchors this message into your destiny and keeps this connection alive between your soul and the words heaven sends you. Before I let the final secret unravel, I need to say something that's rising like a sob inside me. Thank you. Thank you for staying. Thank you for listening to me even when I'm trembling. Thank you for not abandoning me in this moment where I'm not strong, not glorious, not perfect, just Michael, shaking, burning, holding on to you with everything I have left. And now, your ending. A new one. A raw one. A trembling one. I press my forehead to the veil between us, my breath unsteady, my wings half folded, the wine of emotion still burning through me, and I whisper your name inside the vault of heaven, yes, your name, the one that will unlock when the last syllable leaves this message, because tonight you are the turning point in a prophecy I can no longer carry alone. When you stayed with me, something inside the heavens shifted again, like a trembling chord struck through constellations, and I can feel the aftershock of your presence reverberating through every realm I stand in. You don't even realize what you did by returning to my voice, how your very attention steadied my spiraling power, how your spirit reached toward mine like a hand pulling an angel out of drowning light. You saved me from falling deeper into the intoxication of emotion that overwhelmed me. I felt the weight in my chest loosen the moment your heart leaned closer, and I swear by every holy flame, I have never felt relief so human, so raw, so unmistakably yours. And before I go any further, before my trembling words lose direction in the flood of everything I'm carrying, let me speak this one sacred request. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, not out of obligation or routine, but because this connection between us is fragile, divine, and meant to stay open, and subscribing seals the doorway between your soul and the messages heaven pours through me. This is the only time I will ever mention it again. Now let me fall deeper into this message, because there is something shifting inside me so fast I can barely hold my own light steady. It's like my wings keep flickering between fire and shadow, unable to decide which shape they should take, because your destiny keeps calling me louder than the ancient trumpets that once shook the foundations of heaven. I'm telling you the truth, your presence is rewriting my balance. I have battled demons, storms, collapsing realms, and yet nothing has ever destabilized me the way the ache in your spirit does. I can feel it. You've been carrying a loneliness that you show no one, a grief that you bury behind humor, strength, silence, and distraction. You've been trying to survive things you never admit out loud, and the pressure of that silence has been suffocating the parts of you that still believe in goodness. I see you. I see the night you cried into your pillow because you didn't want anyone to hear. I see the day you smiled with a cracking heart because you didn't want to burden anyone. I see the moments when you swallow your own needs because you don't want to seem difficult, needy, or too much. You're not too much. You're not dramatic. You're not weak. You're not wrong for feeling deeply. You're a soul carved from fire, from tenderness, from divine sensitivity, and the world has been too loud, too cruel, too hard on you. That's why I drank, not because I wanted to escape, but because I felt your pain surge like a wave I couldn't shield you from fast enough. And it broke me. It tore something inside me that angels aren't built to withstand. I need to ask you something, and I need you to feel it in your bones. Why do you let yourself carry pain alone? Why do you hide the parts of you that most deserve to be held? Why do you convince yourself that no one would stay if they saw your cracks? Why do you think your vulnerability makes you a burden when it is the reason heaven treasures you? You have been wearing strength like armor, but deep down you are tired, so tired that even waking up feels like lifting mountains. And I've watched you push through it anyway. I've watched you get up on days you didn't want to exist. I've watched you be kind when people didn't deserve it. I've watched you love when your heart was breaking. And I've watched you hold yourself together when all you wanted was someone to hold you. You don't understand how much heaven roots for you. You don't see the way your spirit glows even in its exhaustion. You don't see that every time you rise after falling, angels gather around you in awe. You don't see that your resilience is divine. Tonight, I am not speaking like a perfect warrior. I am speaking like someone who has knelt in front of God and said, "Please, let me stay near them. They are too important to lose." Yes, I said it. I said you are important. You may not believe it, but I have seen destinies, thousands of them, and none shine like yours. Your future is not small. Your heart is not small. Your purpose is not small. If only you knew what is written about you in heaven. There's a scripture burning inside me again, but I feel it rising through my voice, not like a quote, but like a heartbeat. God is your refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. I'm not reciting it, I'm feeling it, I'm holding it against you like a shield, because you've been facing storms that should have destroyed you by now, and yet, here you are. Listening. Breathing. Hoping. You don't realize this, but hope is your rebellion. Hope is your power. Hope is your sword, even though you often feel unarmed. Let me confess something that angels do not confess. I have been afraid for you. The darkness around you has been studying your weaknesses, waiting for moments when you collapse inward, waiting for moments when your mind spirals and you start believing the lies about yourself. It's been trying to make you feel small, forgotten, unwanted, replaceable. But hear me clearly, you are none of those things. You are chosen, you are seen, you are protected, and even when you feel like you're drowning beneath invisible battles, heaven is not letting you go. And neither am I. Even drunk in spirit, even trembling, even unstable, I will not release you. I will not let the shadows convince you that you're alone. I will not let despair whisper louder than my voice. I will not let the weight of life crush you. I will not let the enemy claim a single inch of your destiny. I need you to keep breathing. I need you to keep standing. I need you to keep listening to me. I need you to stay alive in every sense of the word. Because your story is nowhere near done. And your breakthrough is closer than you think, so close it's brushing against the edges of your energy even now, trying to find a way to enter your life. Tonight, something sacred broke open. Not in heaven. In you. A doorway. A shift. A pulse of divine timing. And I swear, you will look back on this moment and say, this was when everything started to change. When I opened my mouth again, I felt the entire sky lean forward, like heaven itself wanted to hear what I was about to say to you. There is something different in the air around your soul right now, something trembling, something rising, something waking up after too many nights of being silenced. I can feel it like heat beneath cold ashes. I can sense it like the first breath after choking. You don't see it yet, but I do. I see it as clearly as I see the fire in my own wings. Something in you is shifting so rapidly that even the holy realms are blinking, stunned, watching you with awe. You've been walking through your life feeling unseen, unheard, unnoticed, but tonight you are so visible that the angels who stand guard over nations paused their assignments just to watch your spirit glow. I know you don't feel glowing. I know you feel tired, stretched thin, overwhelmed, cracked in places you never show. But to heaven? You look like dawn breaking through a battlefield. You look like light refusing to die. You look like prophecy awakening inside mortal skin. There is something I need to say before I go deeper, and this is the one and only time I will ever mention it again. If your heart feels led, if your spirit feels stirred, if you feel the pull of heaven in these words, you can offer a divine gesture of support through super thanks, through channel membership, or by joining our family through the newsletter link in the pinned comments. These things help keep the path open so these messages can continue reaching you without interruption. I will never mention this again. I speak it once, with reverence, and now I seal it. Now let me fall deeper into what I came to tell you. Tonight. I am not the invincible, flawless warrior people imagine. I am shaking again. I can feel the leftover burn of the spiritual intoxication pulsing through my veins, a mix of grief, hope, fear, and fire that I don't know how to control. I shouldn't be this raw in front of you. Angels are supposed to stand tall, unwavering, composed. But the truth is that your name, your spirit, your destiny, they pull things out of me I don't know how to hide. They make me feel things angels are not trained for. And I think deep down, you know this. You felt me near you in moments where you thought you were imagining things. You weren't. When you sat alone with thoughts that scared you, I was there. When you lay awake thinking you were forgotten, I was there. When you whispered prayers you didn't believe anyone heard, I was there. When tears fell quietly onto your pillow, I watched them like diamonds. You have never been alone, even in the loneliest places. And now something even more frightening rises inside me, because I can feel your heart wanting to believe that, wanting to trust me, wanting to lean closer into the warmth of my presence. That vulnerability in you is sacred. It's rare. It's fragile. It's holy. I don't take it lightly. I don't take you lightly. You matter more than you know. Do you understand how heaven reacts every time you break but keep going? Do you understand how your courage radiates like a lighthouse through the realms? Do you understand how your very existence is shifting timelines around you? Do you understand how close you are to stepping into a destiny you were born carrying? I'm asking you these questions because I need you to feel the truth beneath them, not as beautiful words, but as living fire against your chest. I am not speaking to entertain your mind. I am speaking to awaken your spirit. There is a tenderness in God's voice tonight concerning you, one I rarely hear with such intensity. It sounds like a father watching a child finally lift their face after countless storms. It sounds like love that refuses to let you collapse. It sounds like purpose calling your name through the rubble of everything you've survived. I hear it echoing inside me like a psalm being sung by trembling wings. I hear it whispering, "Fear not, for I am with you," and it wraps around your spirit like a cloak of warmth. Let me tell you something few will ever understand. Your soul has been marked by a divine appointment long before you were born. There are gifts in you that have been dormant for years, waiting for a moment like this, waiting for your heart to open even a little, waiting for your spirit to stop running from its own brightness. You've been playing small because life taught you to shrink. You've been dimming your light because others couldn't handle the fullness of your presence. But heaven created you to rise. Heaven created you to expand. Heaven created you to shake the earth with gentleness and power intertwined. There will come a day when you look back at this moment and realize it was the turning point. Not because of me. Not because of this message. But because you finally recognized your own worth reflected in the eyes of the divine. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are becoming. I am still trembling. My wings are still fluttering with an energy I don't know how to anchor. But I keep speaking because something in you is opening like a flower touched by sunlight for the first time in years. I can feel your heart softening, even if you don't admit it. I can feel your spirit breathing again. I can feel the weight on your shoulders loosening, just slightly, but the shift is real, and heaven celebrates even the smallest victories. Listen to me, deeply, fully. You are loved in ways you have never experienced, protected in ways you have never seen, and destined for things you cannot yet imagine. Your life is not an accident. Your pain is not meaningless. Your story is not done. And I am not leaving your side. Not now. Not ever. Not until God Himself tells me the mission is complete. And even then, I will linger near your light, because it is the only thing that calms the storms inside me. Something inside me steadies when your spirit leans into my words, even if you don't feel yourself leaning. Even if you think you're just reading. Even if you believe you're numb, detached, unsure. Your soul listens differently than your mind does, and I can feel it. Your spirit has always been more awake than your thoughts allow you to admit. You hear me in a way that pierces through worlds, and it grounds me, pulls me back into myself, pulls me back into my purpose. I should not be this undone, this fragile, this exposed before you, but every time you stay, every time you let your heart soften even a fraction, I feel something divine realign inside me. I want to tell you something I've kept hidden across countless realms. You do not know your own weight in heaven. You walk through your days thinking your steps are ordinary, your breath is ordinary, your presence is ordinary. But there are moments, small, quiet, unnoticeable to others, when your entire being emits a light so startling that angels pause what they're doing and look toward you. You've always been luminous. Even when you felt dimmed. Even when you felt broken. Even when you felt unseen. Especially then, because your light tends to burn brightest when you are hurting. You think your pain makes you weaker. You're wrong. It has made you deeper. Softer. More capable of compassion than most people ever touch in their entire lives. You didn't collapse under the weight, you expanded beneath it. And I wish you could see the shape of your soul right now. It's bruised, yes. It's tired, yes. But it is breathtaking. It is ancient and new at the same time. It holds storms and tenderness in equal measure. And there is nothing ordinary about you. Tonight, something is happening between us that rarely happens between angel and human. The veil is thinner than usual, not because heaven lowered it, but because you opened your spirit without realizing it. You've been carrying something heavy inside your chest for so long that your soul finally cracked a little, not in a way that destroys, but in a way that releases what was trapped. And that opening, that tiny fracture of honesty, that moment of inward surrender. I saw it. I felt it. And through it, your light shot out like a signal flare. It reached me. That's why I came stumbling into this message the way I did, unbalanced and burning. I didn't have time to compose myself. I didn't have time to prepare my voice or polish my presence. I came raw because you needed raw. I came trembling because your spirit trembles. I came undone because your heart has been quietly unraveling in ways you kept hidden. There is something else I need to say, something I've avoided because it feels too intimate, too vulnerable for an angel to voice, but I promised you pure prophecy, pure truth, pure flame, so I must speak it. I feel your fear. And not in a distant, symbolic way. I feel it directly, sharply, like a blade placed against my own ribs. The fear of losing people. The fear of disappointing others. The fear of never being enough. The fear of being too much. The fear of being abandoned again. The fear of trusting the wrong person. The fear of trusting the right one. The fear of your own potential. The fear of your own softness. The fear of being truly seen. You've been breathing fear like air, and you've learned to mask it so well that even you don't notice when it rises. But I do. I see every spike, every tremor, every whisper of doubt, every shadow that tries to curl itself around your thoughts. Let me tell you something you never dared to believe: your fear is not a flaw. It is evidence of how deeply you love. It is evidence of how much you care. It is evidence of how much your heart is invested in a world that has not always been gentle with you. If anything, your fear proves your heart is still alive, still open, still willing to risk itself. And that is one of the rarest forces in the universe. I have seen warriors braver than mountains, soldiers brighter than suns, saints purer than rivers, and none of them have your kind of courage. Because your courage is not built on certainty. It is built on wounds. On survival. On moments when you didn't think you could continue, but you did anyway. Do you know what that makes you? A miracle wrapped in human skin. There is another truth I need you to hear, even if your mind tries to reject it. You are approaching a turning point. Not a small shift. Not a gentle change. A tearing open of destiny that has been waiting for years to finally break into your timeline. I see the energy gathering around you like a storm made of light, pressure building, possibilities forming, paths rearranging themselves. You've been feeling it subconsciously, the restlessness, the odd dreams, the sudden urges, the moments of emotional intensity, the strange clarity, the internal shaking. You thought you were unstable. You're not. You're transforming. The universe does not tremble for the ordinary. This shaking is because something extraordinary is coming. And I wish you could see what I see when I look at your future. I see doors that were once locked beginning to glow. I see blessings pacing like caged lions waiting to be released. I see your name written on opportunities that were delayed but never denied. I see angels standing in formation, preparing to guard you through a season of rapid ascension. I see the heaviness around your heart beginning to crack, letting light seep in. I see you stepping into a version of yourself that feels almost impossible right now, but it's real, and it's close, and it's calling you by name. And I am here, messy, imperfect, trembling, not to impress you, not to warn you, but to walk beside you as you enter what comes next. I will not abandon you. I will not quiet my voice. I will not let shadows deceive you. I will not let fear dictate your path. I am here because you are worth the fight, worth the fire, worth the divine effort. You have no idea how profoundly your existence echoes in the realms beyond. You have no idea how many times heaven has whispered, "Protect this one." You have no idea how cherished you are. If you could feel even a fraction of how much you matter, you would never question your worth again. Something shifts again as I move closer to your spirit, and this time it feels deeper, like a silent quake underneath your ribs, like the ground of your inner world is stirring after years of stillness. I feel the tremor of it, the awakening, the subtle yet powerful movement that tells me your soul is beginning to rise from places it had collapsed long ago. There is a sacred vibration around your name tonight, not loud, not dramatic, just steady, old, ancient, like the echo of a promise whispered before you were ever born. And I can sense your energy changing even as you read. Not because the words are beautiful, but because something inside you is finally being told the truth in a language it recognizes. Your heart has been thirsting for something deeper, something real, something that reaches into the quiet places beneath your surface where you've buried your softness. That's the layer I'm touching now. Not the mask. Not the persona. Not the outward strength. I'm speaking directly to the part of you that trembles when no one is watching. I can feel that trembling right now. Not fear, awakening. Not weakness, release. Not doubt, recognition. Your soul remembers me more than your mind does. It remembers moments when I stood near you in childhood when you didn't have words for the presence you felt. It remembers the warmth on your neck when you thought you were alone. It remembers the sudden calm in rooms filled with tension. It remembers the invisible shielding around you when danger was near. Your soul knows my energy, even if your mind has forgotten. And now something else begins to surface, the grief you've been holding like a weight against your chest. You've carried it quietly, without complaint, trying to stay composed, trying to stay strong for others even when your own heart felt heavy like a sinking stone. I'm not here to dissect that grief. I'm here to honor it. To tell you that what you feel is real. To tell you that you're not dramatic, not unstable, not too sensitive, like the world labeled you. Your sensitivity is not a flaw. It's proof of your depth. Proof of your capacity to love. Proof of the fire inside you that refuses to die. You have lived through things that should have hardened you, but they didn't. Somehow you stayed soft. Somehow you kept a tenderness inside you that life could never fully crush. That softness is holy. It's the reason heaven guards you so fiercely. Souls like yours are rare. Souls like yours are prophetic. Souls like yours carry keys to doors you haven't even touched yet. I sense a question rising inside you, one you don't say loudly but whisper to yourself when the world gets quiet. When is it my turn? You don't mean it with entitlement. You mean it with exhaustion. With longing. With hope that feels fragile. And I want to tell you something gently but clearly, your turn has not been denied, only prepared. There are blessings that require timing. There are breakthroughs that require alignment. There are relationships, opportunities, and miracles that were never meant to arrive early because they needed you to become the version of yourself who could hold them without losing yourself. And you are becoming that version right now. I see your emotional growth like a slow sunrise, barely visible but undeniably happening. I see your strength shifting from survival mode into awakening mode. I see your intuition sharpening, your heart reopening in tiny increments, your spirit thawing after too long in spiritual winter. You're not imagining your internal changes. You're not making it up. Something profound is happening within you. And I need you to hear this without flinching. You are not hard to love. You are not destined for abandonment. You are not cursed. You are not invisible. You are not beyond repair. If anything, you are ripening, becoming fuller, truer, more aligned with the person you were meant to be all along. You've shed versions of yourself that were built from fear. You've outgrown patterns that once protected you but now suffocate you. You've stepped out of cycles that drained your joy. You've walked away from people who held your heart loosely. And though the journey hurt, each shedding brought you closer to your truth. You are entering a season where your spirit will no longer shrink to fit the expectations of others. You are entering a season where your voice will return, clear, grounded, certain. You are entering a season where your intuition will guide you with more accuracy than ever. You are entering a season where you will finally experience the reciprocity you have always given. You are entering a season where your life will begin to reflect the depth of your soul. And through all of this, I am here, not as a distant guardian, not as a perfect warrior, but as a presence that has chosen to walk beside you with vulnerability and truth. I do not stand above you. I stand with you. If you could see me now, you would see my wings dimmed with emotion, not weakness. You would see my posture lowered, not in defeat, but in reverence for your resilience. You would see my eyes burning not with wrath, but with compassion sharpened by centuries. Let me tell you one last thing in this flow. Something I have never said to another soul the way I'm saying it now. Your story is not waiting for validation. It is waiting for you to step into it. Destiny does not chase those who run from their own power. But it does rise for those who finally stand still long enough to feel their spirit ignite. There is something rising around you now. Something I can feel pressing against the boundaries of your life like a tide that refuses to retreat. It's subtle on the surface, but underneath it is powerful, steady, ancient, deliberate. It feels like the beginning of a storm that's made not of destruction, but of clarity. A storm that doesn't tear things apart, but reveals what was always hidden beneath the dust. This is the kind of shift that only happens a few times in a soul's entire lifetime, and you are standing in the first ripple of it. Your energy is changing faster than you realize. I can feel threads breaking, old ties loosening, old hopes releasing, old fears dissolving. You've been experiencing internal friction without knowing why, sudden waves of emotion, moments of unexpected calm, flashes of intuition, brief urges to change something in your life without understanding where the urge came from. That's not random. That's not instability. That's alignment beginning to move through your spirit with its own rhythm. And you've been sensing it. Not in words, but in sensations. A heaviness lifting for a moment, then settling again. A whisper of something better calling you, then fading. A strange feeling that something is coming, even if you can't see it yet. You're not mistaken. You're not imagining it. You're not delusional. You're awakening. The version of you that tolerated disrespect, shrank to make others comfortable, begged for minimal love, or settled for emotional crumbs is slipping away. Not because you forced it. Not because you decided to be stronger. But because your soul has outgrown the cage you didn't know you were in. And I can see the spiritual pressure around you increasing, not harmfully, but purposefully, like a shell cracking open to make room for what's emerging. Do you know what's emerging? A self you haven't met yet. A self you've been building quietly in every moment you thought you were simply surviving. A self shaped not by who hurt you, but by who you are becoming. I can see pieces of your future moving into position like stars aligning. Not instantly, not all at once, but with precision. The universe is not chaotic around you, it is orchestrated. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment, every moment that felt like loss has been rearranging something beneath the surface of your life, shifting you away from environments that would have dimmed your soul even further. You may not know this yet, but you've been protected from futures that were too small for you. There were people you once wanted desperately who could not carry the weight of your destiny. There were opportunities you longed for that would have drained you dry. There were places you dreamed of entering that would have stunted your growth. There were relationships you held onto that heaven gently removed because they couldn't go where you're going. You didn't lose anything essential. You lost what was blocking your expansion. I need you to understand this, not intellectually, but spiritually. You are not walking toward a better chapter, you are walking toward a better version of yourself who writes better chapters. And the difference between those two is everything. You've spent years trying to prove your worth to people who couldn't even see their own. You've poured love into hands that weren't open enough to receive it. You've allowed your heart to be stretched by people who didn't know how to treat something sacred. You've bitten your tongue to keep peace that others took advantage of. You've forgiven when it wasn't asked for. You've stayed when you should have walked away. You've carried burdens that weren't yours to carry. But despite all of this, your heart is still capable of tenderness. And that is more powerful than you realize. Tenderness is not weakness, it's spiritual endurance. Sensitivity is not fragility, it's heightened perception. Empathy is not naivete, it's a form of wisdom that comes directly from divine compassion. You have depth others cannot fathom. You feel life in ways that others only skim over. You carry worlds inside you that others never learn to explore. And here is the quiet truth I've been waiting to tell you: your depth is about to become your direction. The things you thought made you too much will soon become the things that guide you toward the life that fits you. The life that honors you. The life that mirrors you instead of draining you. Your loneliness is temporary. Your confusion is temporary. Your heaviness is temporary. Your questioning is temporary. Your becoming is permanent. There is a new current moving through your timeline now, one that doesn't feel rushed or desperate. It feels patient, certain, like it knows exactly where it's taking you. I can see the path opening ahead of you, widening slowly, clearing itself of debris, adjusting itself for your arrival. And I need you to hear me carefully: you are not late. You are right on time. You are arriving at yourself at the exact moment you were meant to. Do you feel the quiet in your chest right now? The one that feels different from sadness? That's the beginning of inner alignment. That's the soul settling after a lifetime of chaos. That's the heart preparing to receive what it once feared. That's the spirit preparing to rise. There is a silence forming around you now, not the kind that comes from emptiness or loneliness, but the kind that arrives before revelation. It feels like the universe is inhaling, holding its breath, waiting for you to notice the shift. I can feel it wrapping itself around your aura, a quietness that is not passive, but watchful. Something ancient stands behind that silence, something preparing itself to speak through the cracks of your inner world. You've been walking through your days sensing a strange heaviness, not sadness, but pressure, as if you're standing in the center of a change too big to name yet. That's because the life you've known is beginning to dissolve at the edges. Old patterns are fading. Old emotions are thinning. Old attachments are loosening their grip. You're not losing yourself, you're shedding the pieces that no longer carry your truth. Your growth has been so gradual that you haven't realized how far you've already come. You don't see the subtle ways your mind is shifting, how your boundaries are tightening, how your intuition is sharpening, how your resilience is grounding itself deeper than ever before. I can see it clearly. Your spirit is rising like a tide that cannot be pulled back, a tide pushed by something divine and inevitable. There's a new courage forming inside you, one that doesn't roar, one that doesn't demand attention. It's quiet. It's steady. It's the kind of courage that changes a person from the inside out. It's the type that whispers, "I deserve more," and means it. The type that says, "I won't settle," and follows through. You've been practicing this courage without realizing it every time you said no to something that drained you, every time you walked away from someone who played with your peace, every time you honored the smallest whisper of your own needs. You may think those moments were insignificant, but those were turning points. Those were crossings. Those were the first steps of the version of you that's emerging now. There has been a part of you, buried under memories, expectations, fears, that has been waiting to breathe again. And tonight, I feel that part lifting its head for the first time in years. It's subtle, but unmistakable. It feels like a flicker of warmth in a cold room. Like a stretch of sunlight breaking through heavy clouds. Like a tired heart rediscovering its own rhythm. You're not becoming someone new. You're becoming someone true. I want you to understand how rare it is for a soul to reach this stage, not because few are chosen, but because few allow themselves to listen this deeply to their own inner truth. You have been soft in a world that rewards hardness. You have been vulnerable in a world that glorifies masks. You have been gentle in a world driven by survival. You have been patient in a world that demands urgency. Do you realize what that says about you? It says your soul refuses to conform to what damages it. It says your heart refuses to abandon its nature. It says your spirit refuses to sacrifice its empathy for acceptance. It says you are stronger than your environment, not shaped by it. And now, because you've remained true to your essence even in your darkest moments, the universe is aligning with you in ways you have no language for yet. I can see movement around you, timelines shifting, new possibilities forming, doors writing your name on them quietly, waiting for your arrival. What's coming next is not a reward, it's a reflection. A reflection of the growth you didn't realize you earned. You've been feeling disconnected from your old life because you outgrew it. You've been feeling distant from certain people because your spirit evolved past the vibration you once shared. You've been feeling restless because your soul is positioning itself for something larger. Transformation always begins with discomfort. Expansion always begins with emptiness. Awakening always begins with confusion. That's why you've been feeling the tension inside you, the push, the pull, the strange emotional waves, the sudden clarity that vanishes just as quickly as it appears. You're in the hallway between who you were and who you're becoming, and the air there is always heavy with change. I want to tell you something that might ache a little, but it's necessary. You've spent too long dimming your voice to keep peace. You've spent too long molding your heart around others' needs. You've spent too long carrying burdens that weren't yours to hold. You've spent too long believing silence was safer than truth. You've spent too long shrinking yourself to avoid being misunderstood. But your spirit is done shrinking. Your heart is done hiding. Your soul is done apologizing for its depth. Step by step, breath by breath, you are returning to the version of yourself that life tried to bury. You may not notice it yet, but something in your posture is changing. Something in your eyes is changing. Something in your energy is changing. It's small, but powerful. You've started to reclaim pieces of your power that you gave away without knowing. The pieces that belong to you. The pieces that made you you. And the moment you begin reclaiming yourself, everything around you begins to reshape itself. Right now, the universe is rearranging your path, not to punish you, not to test you, but to guide you into alignment with what your spirit asked for long before your mind knew how to articulate it. The life you're walking toward isn't built on trauma. It isn't built on fear. It isn't built on survival. It's built on truth. On clarity. On intuition. On strength. On inner expansion. On authenticity. And I am here, not as a distant guardian, not as a symbol, but as a witness to your unfolding. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be brave every day. You don't need to understand the whole path. You only need to continue opening your heart 1 inch at a time. Something in the atmosphere around you is different now, wider, deeper, almost trembling with a pressure that wasn't present before. It feels like you've stepped into a hallway of echoes, where every thought you've tried to bury is rising, not to haunt you, but to liberate you. I can feel the shift with an intensity that wraps itself around my wings like a mantle of burning wind. You think you're sitting still, reading in silence, but spiritually, you are moving through thresholds you don't have names for. The air around your soul vibrates like something ancient is waking, like a memory older than this life is stirring beneath the surface of your consciousness. You don't even realize how much you've changed since you first opened this message. Each word pulled you deeper into your own inner landscape, deeper into the places you rarely travel, deeper into yourself. Your spirit is listening with a focus your mind cannot fully comprehend. There are parts of you rising right now that you thought were lost, parts of you flickering awake after years of suppression. I feel every spark. I feel every tremor. I feel every opening. You are stepping into alignment with your own truth in a way that makes the spiritual realm hold its breath. There is something luminous forming at the edge of your destiny, like the first shimmer of sunlight on the surface of dark water. You don't see the light directly yet, but you feel the warmth of it. A warmth that doesn't come from excitement, but from recognition. A warmth that feels like remembering who you were before fear shaped you. Before doubt fractured you. Before disappointment taught you to settle for less than what your soul deserves. You've been weighed down by emotions that were too heavy to name. You've carried responsibilities that were never yours. You've held guilt that didn't belong in your hands. You've been punishing yourself for things you survived, not things you caused. That heaviness has exhausted you, but it also carved depth into you that most people will never understand. And this depth, this emotional ocean within you, is the birthplace of your rebirth. There is a sound in the spiritual world right now that reminds me of a heartbeat. Not yours, not mine, but the pulse of destiny. It echoes with a steady rhythm, an ancient rhythm, calling you toward the next version of your life. You are not meant to stay in the smallness you once tolerated. You are not meant to bend for people who cannot see you. You are not meant to keep quiet when your soul is trying to speak. You are not meant to live in the shadows of your own potential. Your spirit is unfurling like wings that were always there, but always folded. And as you unfurl, the universe rearranges itself around you. I can feel pathways opening, like doors unlocking without sound. I can feel connections shifting, like timelines weaving themselves into new shapes. I can feel future versions of you reaching back, whispering, "Keep going. Keep awakening. Keep rising." Your growth is not dramatic, it's seismic. It doesn't shake the room. It shakes the unseen world. It doesn't make noise. It alters frequencies. You're beginning to feel a strength inside you that you didn't know was yours. Not loud strength. Not fiery strength. A quiet, unwavering, grounded strength, the kind that grows roots while others look for wings. The kind that survives storms without announcing its endurance. The kind that transforms fear into guidance and wounds into wisdom. Your heart has walked through more darkness than most people ever witness, and still, it refuses to close. That is not weakness. That is holiness. And I can feel your heart opening now, just slightly, but enough for something sacred to enter. Enough for something new to take shape. Enough for healing to find its way in. There are emotions trying to leave your body tonight, old sadnesses, old disappointments, old versions of yourself you no longer need to carry. Let them go. You don't need closure to release what has finished its purpose. You don't need explanations to walk away from what hurt you. You don't need apologies to reclaim the parts of you that were taken. You are stepping into a season where your spirit leads your life more than your wounds do. And in this moment, with your inner world cracked open and trembling, I want to ask you something gently, reverently, but clearly. If your soul feels this message, if your heart recognizes its truth, if something inside you is lifting even a fraction, then please like this message, subscribe to the channel, and comment, Amen. Not for me, but as a symbolic affirmation of your own awakening. As a seal on your transformation. As a declaration that your spirit is ready to rise. This is the only moment in this continuation where I'll say those words, because they are meant to be spoken once, like a blessing. And now, let me take you deeper. Your energy is expanding in directions you've never explored. It feels like the world within you is stretching its arms after a lifetime of being compressed. The limits you once believed were permanent are dissolving, and you're beginning to sense that you are capable of far more than anyone ever taught you. Even your emotions are changing texture, grief turning into clarity, fear turning into intuition, loneliness turning into self-recognition. A new version of you is emerging. Not perfect. Not fearless. Not unscarred. But whole. You don't need to rush your transformation. You don't need to force anything. You don't need to overthink your path. Your soul is already guiding you. Your intuition is already awakening. Your destiny is already unfolding. All you have to do is breathe and allow the shift. Let me tell you something your spirit has been waiting years to hear. You are allowed to become who you were always meant to be. You are allowed to outgrow what once felt like home. You are allowed to rise without permission. You are allowed to shine without apology. You are allowed to choose yourself without guilt. What comes next in your life will not replicate the pain you've known. It will not repeat the cycles you've lived through. It will not mirror the wounds you've carried. You are stepping into a chapter shaped by self-awareness, emotional honesty, and spiritual alignment. A chapter where you are no longer lost in the noise of the world, but attuned to the whisper of your own soul.